What do you think? Do I pull this off or not? Ah! I'm gonna have to figure out a different solution for that. I don't know why I thought that was gonna work. I just finished getting the heater hoses plumbed in. So this is the heater unit here. I decided not to go with air conditioning for this car, given it is open top. We don't have too many hot days where you even need it. So I just decided to save weight, save plumbing, and not do air conditioning. So this came with the kit. This is a mechanical valve for controlling the coolant flow to and from the heater core. So basically you just put this in line with the hot coolant going to the heater core, and then with a cable you could just manipulate this from the cockpit to either turn it on or off. And basically that's all it is an on-off switch to allow coolant to go to the heater core to generate heat for the cockpit. I decided to do electronic. So this is an electronic valve that I got. This is a cheap unit. I think I got it off eBay. But basically it's a variable, so you can tune and adjust the heat to different temperature. So it's not an on-off switch, which is pretty nice. I just decided might as well go electronic, try to get rid of all the mechanical cabling as well. I'm gonna actually do arrow catch latches for the bodywork as well, so I won't need the Ultima factory cables that you pull again to pop the rear hatch or the forward hatch. I'll just use the arrow latch system on there, but that's still a little bit ways to go. So just trying to get rid of all kind of the old school or really kind of bare bones mechanical elements in this car and upgrade them to electronic if I can, or in the case of the latches, just go even more old school just to eliminate having to run those pull cables in the luggage bins and so forth. All right, driver's side tank. I've got some heat shield installed. Let me show you what I bought. First of all, this tape. This is DEI aluminum. I think it's 1.5 inches. And it's actually got some embedded fibers, fiberglass fibers as part of the tape. So the tape itself will provide some heat shielding. And then as far as the heat shield mat itself, let me show you what I got. Again, this is DEI Heat Shield 2, I guess, 2nd generation. And it's pretty thick aluminum. It's pliable, so it won't go around very sharp bends, but supposedly this works really well. And again, thanks for everybody's comments. I decided on this instead of anything gold or otherwise. It's got a 3/8 inch thick fiberglass mat and then a sticky backing. Peel this backing off and then it'll stick. And then of course I'm finishing it off with some of this tape as well. So it's not cheap stuff, but it'll work and should last. right, heat shield on both tanks, foam installed on the underside of the tank, ready to be installed, I think, for the final time into the chassis. Next up, let's work on the side pods. Just doing some final tweaks here to the side pods, a little trimming here and there, some holes drilled to make room for the removable bolts for the side fuel tanks. And these things will be ready to be permanently fitted when the time comes. Let's get to it. Getting the side pods prepared here and having to do some drilling and a little grinding on them. First thing, there's 3 holes I made here. These are for the bolt, just spacers, or spaces for the bolts to sit where I made the, where I bolted the gas tank in. A couple of little areas where I have my air lines for the airlift suspension. Had to make a few adjustments there. One here for that airline coming out from under the chassis and going up to the side of the frame. And then I'm just getting ready. I've marked out the holes I'm going to do here for rib nuts. I'm going to put rib nuts in there for this cover. This is going to be the removable panel that I'm going to put in for access to the air pump or the airlift ECU and so forth. So once this side pod's in place, I'll be able to access for any maintenance the airlift system. So anyways, that's coming together. The other side's already on. Fitted, all the adjustments are done, and then I'll drill the holes underneath and then just cleco it in place just temporarily, but all lined up, so coming together. So I add a little JB weld behind the rib nuts here, as you can see, just to give this a little extra strength. Shouldn't be too bad, but anytime you're drilling into fiberglass, it could be thin. Those could rip out, so JB weld will secure those properly and a little extra insurance. Now it's time to apply the second skin spectrum to the side pods, and I decided not to be lazy this time and use the transfer container that I had lying around. So let's get to work applying the second skin. Two coats of second skin spectrum. So with the sprayer, applies really nice. So that should be good. All right, I figured I would turn the camera on and show you guys what I've been up to. I kind of got one of those grooves where I'm starting to fabricate some stuff, and one thing led after another, and then I realized I should probably turn the camera on. So let me show you what I'm up to. I have put together the oil cooler, the air to oil cooler on the driver's side. I picked up these, I've got a pair of these Cetrab coolers. One that'll go over here for the oil with a -16 in and out port, and then over on the other side that I haven't started yet, which I'm gonna walk you through, will be for the transmission cooler, the air to water cooler that will go over there. But it's the same exact size and cooler, just some different ports. Here's the air to water that'll go on the passenger side. I made up, basically looking at the build pictures in the online manual, I kind of replicated what they have there. Seems pretty straightforward. Made up this aluminum bracketry with some 1/8 inch aluminum. So I've got it secured on this side as well as on the back side. I actually used one of the mounting holes for the tank in the fiberglass, actually double duty as one of the mounting points for this bracket on the cooler. It's kind of hard to tell there, but the cooler is just hovering off the edge of the tank, and what I'll do is I'll put some expanding foam there so that will just rest on the expanding foam. But it's super rigid. This thing's not going anywhere. Pretty happy with how that turned out. And I think, hopefully, comment below for any other Evo or RS builders out there. Obviously, my fittings, I'm going to do a 120 or a 150 degree fitting, -16 fittings to bring them down, and then the hoses will run down through the hole. And then, as you see, I've got my oil thermostat in place as well right there. So I made a little bracket to mount that thermostat to. The bottom ports will go to and from the engine and sump, and then the top ports will route to the oil cooler. But I think with the rear clamshell, even if the fittings come up and stick up a little bit, because they are going to stick up a little bit higher than the surface of this fiberglass, I think the height of the clamshell will give me room there. And I forget, because my front and rear clam are at the storage unit, and based on pictures I've seen online, I think I'll be all right there. But comment below for any of you experienced builders out there if I've got room. But what I'm trying to do is leave this space open for all the exhaust work, all the exhaust header work that I'm going to do there. So I'm trying to be super conscious of space there, just to keep as much heat away from these parts as possible. So anyway, let me know what you think. I think that's going to be okay, but comment below. I'd love to hear it. So let's get after building the bracketry and the setup to get the other side, the air to water cooler, mounted on the passenger side of the car. Let's do it. All right, that one's done too. So let's take a look at the finished product. Turns out on this side, I had to maneuver around the fuel filter and fuel line. So I made a little kind of divot into that aluminum bracket. Couldn't come straight across with the bracket, kind of angled it downward, but worked out okay. It's funny, I'm losing hardware, all my hardware. I keep dropping it down into the cavity there, so I got to take this side panel off, side pod off to get retrieve all my spacers and screws and stuff that are between the gas tank and the side pod. Actually did the same thing on the other side. So anyway, but that's all mocked in. Again, solid and basically a matching set to the other side as well. So I think it looks pretty good. Came out good. As far as the side pod vents go, I'm awaiting shipment of the RS model carbon fiber side vents. They have a NACA duct that kind of covers up this, but feeds air directly into the back half of this side pod opening. So that'll work out well. Of course, I'm going to put black mesh on this, but that NACA duct will be nice to funnel air right into the water cooler on this side, and again, the oil cooler, engine oil cooler on the other side. So making progress, lots of good plumbing. I'm trying to get these side pods done so that I can fit the rear bulkhead, because that goes, after the side pods go on, the rear bulkhead slips over these mounting screws on both sides. And then I can attach that and get all of the sound deadening material, route all the lines up the back of the firewall. So it's funny when you realize the project you had, you got to think about 20 steps ahead on this. So anyway, it's coming together.